Hey guys, and welcome back to the internet. So I thought I would clarify a little bit about what I was talking about yesterday when I said that the channel wasn't doing so well. And it really just boils down to the YouTube algorithm and the bot really just deciding when to recommend videos and when not to. So I've noticed pretty much any time I have a title that doesn't involve r/EntitledParents, my views tend to go down quite a bit. Also, if it's considered like an inappropriate video, or if it's like not r/anything, then it basically just doesn't recommend the video to anybody. So I'm kind of a slave to the algorithm right now, but I am talking with some bigger YouTubers trying to like figure out the system. But yeah, thanks to all my awesome fans who keep watching all these videos. From what I've heard from a lot of people, you don't actually like get notifications from some of my videos or even see that it got posted. So just keep in mind I posted the exact same time every day now. So if you're looking for a story video, you can always just check the channel. Alright, so let's start off with, I'm so sick of these mother effing Karens around my mother effing baby. What is it about baby that attracts all the crazy people? It's like they're zombies groaning, baby. All the Karens seem to want something from me because of my baby. The following is a collection of small interactions that I didn't think deserved their own posts. All of these have happened in just a few short weeks of my son's life. These Karens have got me effed, man. Here we go. While I was being discharged from the hospital, a woman demanded that I give her my son's car seat because she forgot hers. Note that the baby was in a car seat. When I pointed this out, she told me that I was delusional and needed to be put in a psych. She then walked away with her child. Number 2. I had to take my baby out shopping with me only a week after he was born. I didn't want to be, but we needed food and no one was available to watch him. A woman and her kid in the aisle with me and my mom, not the kid, demanded to know what happened to my eye. My eye got seriously damaged when I was younger, and I now wear an eye patch. I told her this, and she said I was lying and traumatizing my baby. She then tried to take my eye patch off, causing her to see my nasty scars. She screamed and ran away, calling me satanic for mutilating my body. And number 3, I stopped at a fast food place because I needed a chocolate shake. I had a mother yell at me because she thought I was going to give my 3-week-old baby a chocolate shake and refused to believe that it was for me. What the heck, lady? Number 4, my husband took the baby to the doctor because he had a sneezing fit. A lady in the waiting room told him that it was probably because we had him circumcised. Oh, so that's why I've been sneezing all my life. And number 5, had a family friend at our house looking at our sink. He's a plumber, and his wife got super offended that I was breastfeeding in my own house. My son has been alive for not even a month. If this is how it's going to be all the time, I'm just going to lock myself and my baby in the house and not let anyone in. It's absolutely nuts. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people have a hard time just minding their own business. When they see you've got a kid, they've got to tell you exactly how you're supposed to raise it. Alright, now we've got, stay in my room with my kids and give me your sweet. Okay, so this recently happened, and honestly I was kind of expecting it, but it was still shocking to me. So this entitled parent in this story is my cousin. I'll set the scene. So Dean is my older cousin, and Lisa is his wife, and Sam is my younger cousin. Anyway, so the whole family was invited to Dean's wedding, and because it required some traveling for a lot of the family, the hotel where the wedding was being held offered the whole family a discount. The place is very nice, it's kind of posh and fancy looking, and the prices were already very cheap for such a fancy place. Anyway, because of traveling and rarely taking a vacation, I decided when looking at the hotel I'd book 2 suites. One for me and one for my mom, since the suites in the hotel were only about £480 for 5 nights. And I had a nice little amount of savings, so I figured it would be nice to treat myself and my mother. So anyway, me, Dean, Sam, and Lisa are all in my suite having a few drinks, chatting and catching up. It was nice. Anyway, there's a knock at the door. I answer it. It was my cousin. I don't know how she got my room number, since I sure didn't tell her which room I was staying in. I'm pretty sure she stank of Frosty Jacks. Anyway, she pushed her way in and glanced around, then right away she blew up. She's even more insufferable when she's been drinking. She says, "How the F did you get such a fancy room? Me and the kids are stuck in a small one." I say, I booked it and paid for it? She says, "Get the F out, this is my room now." So me, feeling annoyed and trying to stay calm, I say, "No, this is my room, I ordered this room, I paid for this room with my own money." She slaps me. She says, "Go stay in my room with my kids, they're giving me a migraine." At this point, my other cousin and Lisa intervene. They told her off for slapping me, since she was very clearly overreacting. Lisa says, "This is her room, she isn't going anywhere, and touch her again you'll be uninvited from the wedding." She says, "You can't uninvite me, my brother is the groom. And that skank," pointing to me, "will give me this free room now." Dean says, "Actually, if you keep acting like a brat, I'll be the one uninviting you." Sam says, "F yeah, I don't want this lady here anyway." But we are family, and I deserve this room more, and the hotel staff say I deserve it because I'm a single mom. So I bit my cheek, trying not to burst out laughing, because it's just typical of her to be this stupid. I'm pretty sure I rolled my eyes at the stupidity of what she said. She thinks she deserves everything she wants. I say, there is no way they said that. Now please get out of my room before I gladly do something that will get me arrested. After a while of us arguing with her, she eventually left once security came and made her go back to her room. Oh yeah, later I found out it was my mom who called security from the phone in her suite. Our suites were next to each other and she heard the commotion. Long story short, she wasn't going to talk to her because she hates her as much as I do. Anyway, the wedding was beautiful, I got to see the family, I haven't seen them in a while, and I didn't see my cousin for the rest of the trip, so I'm a happy girl. I later found out that the reason why I didn't see her was because younger cousin Sam decided to take her drinking. Once he left the suite, he apparently made sure that she drank enough to ensure that she would feel like hell for the last 2 days of the trip. Don't worry, her kids were fine. I think another cousin that was at the wedding took care of them while she spent time feeling sorry for herself. Man, these psychos try to play every card in the book. It's actually kind of satisfying when you find out that these entitled parents have very obnoxious entitled kids, because you're like, yeah, you guys are perfect for each other, you're both obnoxious, and now you have to deal with each other. Alright, one more story and then we've got a pretty big question of the day. So this is the story of how my great uncle pulled the reverse Uno on his beggar wife and children. So my great uncle was this super cool dude, Air Force, worked on the fire service and on the rails. Took a 1929 car and redid it when he was 80. Basically every little kid's dream because of his stories and stuff. Anyways, great uncle had began to have health issues in his older years. This made him less active, and therefore at home more, which made him grouchy. His wife and kids began openly discussing in front of him how they couldn't wait for him to die, how they wanted him gone so they could sell off his stuff for money, how they knew he had big inheritance waiting for them, and they wanted it ASAP. Well, I'm sitting here in the other room, next to Uncle, hearing all of this, and he turns to me and just goes, "That's what they think. The minute those cretins started wishing me dead, I rewrote the will, and none of them are in it. They have money. I'm giving my wife enough to live off for 1 year, and the rest is for my funeral, and to charities of my choice." Well, Uncle died later that year at 98 years old. It was a crap storm because everyone was expecting to get hundreds of thousands each, and there wasn't one of them who got $1. My great aunt got something like $5,000. Kids didn't get anything. He bought himself the most expensive casket the funeral home sold, and a mausoleum for just him. I love that man. To answer some questions, I'm not sure how he managed to exclude the wife. I guess it wasn't a total exclusion, as she got the house, which she then sold to move in with her leech offspring, and some cash, but it definitely wasn't what it could have been. They were pissed. The next family reunion included a montage of all their family members lost in the 2 years since the last one, and his family refused to include him. I added it here because I assumed they'd be choosing beggars, because they insisted on speaking where he knew he could hear them, saying things like, "I want his car," or "I want his war medals," and just demanding crap from him while he would know what their demands were, but they weren't ballsy enough to ask him themselves. Man, it's always great when spoiled brats get cut off. It's kind of like the main story from yesterday's video too. Alright, now the question of the day is, what was your "I don't get paid enough for this" moment at work? And since there were so many replies and lots of big stories attached to them, I decided to make this part a lot longer for this video. So when I worked at McDonald's, I found out we didn't get paid for closing. We got paid until the store closed, so it took us an extra hour or two to close. That was unpaid. I wish I knew what I know now, because that is an open and shut case, but at the time, I was young and dumb. My first paycheck, I noticed a ton of missing hours, so when I went and asked my boss about it, she told me we only get paid until the store closed. So that night, I walked out when the store closed. They tried to guilt me into staying, because the other team members need me. F that. I don't work for free, sorry, especially when I'm already making minimum wage. No thanks, not gonna happen. So, were your coworkers getting paid while closing? Cause if not, everyone should just ditch when the clock strikes closing time. So I used to work as a dental nurse. First patient of the friggin' day. The bloke said he felt sick after having a local anesthetic. He looked it. I grabbed the bin and told him if he needed to vomit, take the bin. He held it in his lap and turned, vomiting down the side of the chair and all over my pants and shoes. Of course I had to clean it up, and of course they wouldn't let me go home to change. Well, doesn't seem like that bin did a lot of good. Oh crap, I have to puke. Oh no, don't do it in the garbage can, do it on the person next to you. So I was working late, like 2 a.m. in the office. My manager said, let's go to a convenience store to buy some snacks and smokes. She sits in the back and we drive there. After we get our crap, she says, can we swing by this street intersection real quick? When we get to the intersection, I guess she sees a car that belongs to someone she knows, parked in front of her boyfriend's house. She starts to wail, cry, and kick around in the back seat. while my bewildered self just holds the steering wheel with a stupid look on my face. After 20 minutes of that, we drive back to the office and I drop her off and I go home. What the heck? Why did you sit there for 20 minutes? That sounds like a weird boss situation. So I worked at a Toyota service department for a few months. It was terrible in general, but one day was the worst. During the week, I had a nail go straight through my foot, so I'm bandaged up and I have to walk around to get everything. Probably 100 yards to the car wash, 40 yards to the shop, etc. My team for Saturday, which is 4 people, had one person quit on Wednesday, and one person had a funeral to leave early for. The other guy was so new that he was slow to get stuff done. My boss says he'll come in and help. Wednesday, we lock it at 60 appointments since we have short staff up front and back. We do take walk-ins too, so Thursday it's at 80, and we tell our boss to lock it. Again on Friday before closing we see 110 appointments. He never locked it. Come Saturday morning we have 130 appointments from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. So I'm having to walk around a lot and ended up bleeding through 3 pairs of socks and bandages. I had to chase down about 80% of our customers' cars because our porters were goofing off. I had 53 open tickets at 12 p.m. We had a 4-hour wait for walk-ins, and 2 with appointments. I haven't had a lunch or a snack since they banned food and drinks at our desk. My friend is about to leave for the funeral, so I cover his work, and my boss leaves for lunch throwing his 20-ish tickets on my desk. So now I'm 110 tickets deep, helping the new guy with stuff, moving cars, and trying not to pass out. Oh, did I mention it's 95 degrees outside, no AC in our covered area, and 90% humidity? We didn't even get a breeze. Can't have snacks or drinks at our desks either. So it gets to 3 p.m. and I'm rescheduling people, trying to get everyone out when their cars are done, but have to limp them down to pull them into the front to leave after they pay. My boss still isn't back, and the new guy quits. I end up getting in one car, and blood from my socks drips onto the paper mats in the car. I clean everything out, vacuumed the car, washed it, and pulled it up. The customers went crazy that they saw the blood on the disposable paper mat, about the wait, not getting a discount for the non-appointment service, and demanding to speak to my manager. That was it. I call him up and sent a voicemail. I explained it to his mailbox, then called the GM to explain that I have been alone for about 3 hours dealing with an uncapped amount of customers. 5 technicians walked out. I'm still not recovered from my workplace injury, and I'm finishing my paperwork to take a lunch break at 4 p.m. My boss shows up when I'm about to leave to eat my lunch I brought, knowing their provided lunch would be gone before I could set foot in the break room. He told me that in our state, I'm not legally allowed a lunch break during a shift, and I have to stay to finish out the customers on my tickets. I mentioned being here since 6 a.m., pre-printing everything, saying I just need to relax, and he said, "You didn't even clock in this morning, so unless you do what I say, you aren't getting paid." Service advisors are paid commission here, and percentage parts of profits for stuff sold. I don't even get 10 cents an hour. So I walked over to my station, removed all of everyone's login copies of my permissions, deleted all my notes, deleted all my warranty macros, all the spreadsheets, and reset every custom line I added to the program before I removed my admin permissions. I walked out and got a call when I got into my car asking, "Why isn't your login able to collect credit cards?" So he had to either write down credit card info, take cash, or let them go. My GM asked me to come back at a pay raise and less hours, but I knew it was BS. My boss ended up getting let go the following month since he couldn't get things back up to speed. My good friend moved to Mercedes parts, so he's happy. I ended up going to BMW for a bit after, and handled a few other franchises later. Man, that is a brutal story. That sounds like just everything that could possibly go wrong does go wrong. That kind of reminds me of the old saying from the movie Cannibal the Musical, where he says, "You know, when things get really bad and the world looks its darkest, you just have to throw your hands up and say, well, alright, because it's probably going to get a whole hell of a lot worse." You know, I'm kind of proud of the guy for just quitting on the spot. I probably would have done the same, and it honestly feels so good to just walk away from that problem. Alright, let's move on to more stories. So I work in childcare. There was one time we had one kid who had a diaper blowout, and one kid who puked everywhere. There's only 2 teachers, so one had to handle the blowout and one the vomit, while also keeping the rest of the kids away from it all. Man, I don't even know how daycare workers do it. I mean, I would think that just watching like one little kid at a time would be difficult, but trying to manage 20 all at once, that just sounds like a nightmare. So I got change thrown at my face at work because a man was upset we didn't have meatballs. Now if I'm working, he'll come in, see me, and walk out. He just has a vendetta against you because you didn't have meatballs that one time I was there. You know, some people just will come up with whatever reason they can to be angry, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I worked at a fast food place about 13 years ago. This lady in the drive-thru claimed she was missing a sandwich. Our policy was to ask for the bags back to verify. I asked to see the bags, 3 or 4, decent-sized order, and instead of handing them back like a civilized human being, she instantly started raging and throwing the food into the window while cussing me out. Guess what one of the items she threw at me was? Yep, said missing sandwich. Well, at that point you could just be like, well, now you don't get your food or your refund, so have a nice day. So this was back in the late 90s. I was working at Walmart as my first job as a teenager. I was floated to the garden department one day, and there was one guy looking at lawn fertilizer. I walk over and ask if he needs help. He said, not now, just looking at the different kinds you have. Pretty standard reply from the guy, so I just said, okay, just let me know. I walk away, and then swing back about 5 minutes later. The same guy has proceeded to rip open about 10 different kinds of the fertilizer all over the ground, and is rolling around in the stuff. He's also taste sampling the stuff. I called my manager because I didn't want to deal with it. Security escorted the guy out of the store and called an ambulance in case the ingestion of the fertilizer hurt him. I mean, something tells me this isn't the first time he's tried eating fertilizer, so I don't know that the ambulance was really necessary. So my boss insisted that everybody be at their desks at 8:30 sharp. She made me take roll on an attendance sheet and hand it in to her every day. She also made me do it at lunchtime, when everybody left and came back, and when they left at night. I took roll for a bunch of adults 3 times a day. I don't work there anymore. Man, I wouldn't last a week in a place that micromanages you that hard. If my boss can't just leave me alone for long periods of time, I just get fed up with the whole thing. So we used to be paid half salary to attend seminars related to our industry that grant professional development hours. These seminars would often be at 7 a.m. at a hotel that was about a 2-hour drive for me, if I was lucky, in rush hour traffic to get to. But hey, it was paid and had a free breakfast. So waking up at 4:30 to attend wasn't the worst thing in the world. The company announced that they believed attending the seminars was furthering our knowledge, therefore helping the company, and therefore helping us. So we would no longer be paid to attend them, but we're still expected to go? I just said F that and haven't attended a single one since then, and delete all the invite emails. I'm paid hourly, so taking the 6 or so hours out of my day to drive and attend a seminar I'm not being paid for is just plain stupid. I was asked why I haven't gone to any, and told them I have a mortgage to pay. Haven't been asked to go again since. Man, if it takes this guy 2 hours each way to get to work, I'm gonna have to guess he probably lives in LA. So I walked into the bathroom, and someone had smeared poop on literally every single surface, wall, everything except one small part of the ceiling they couldn't reach. Picasso almost made me quit, but luckily my boss told me to lock it, not let anyone else use it, and he got someone to come in with a pressure washer. Who is this mysterious Picasso? So direct support staff for people with minor disabilities. I had a client go off the rails because he refused to take schizophrenia pills. I was working the night shift and he gets up in the middle of the night and starts yelling random things, running around the house naked, peeing on everything, asking for me to put a cowboy hat on him. He's now in a nursing home, bless his soul. And yes, he got his cowboy hat. So I work in security, and a bit under a year ago I worked at some kind of public TV event. My job was to keep people without passes out of a specific area, which was intended for those working behind the scenes to kick back and relax and get their lunches and all that. Anyway, only ones I was allowed entrance were people with passes and other security folks. But then word from above came that the exception was to be made for some kind of supposedly famous child music group. I had no clue what they looked like, so 4 kids and their parents walk up and I stop them. "Don't you know who these are?" Quickly followed. Eventually it got cleared up. And every time after, they kept bringing in more friends and family members, and the same song and dance continued. Well, that's all the stories and responses for today. Man, I'm so tired. It is currently 12:12 a.m. This video will be uploaded in just under 8 hours. But yeah, I feel like I've just been stuttering and slurring this whole video and just kind of rambling, you know? It's been a very busy and stressful past few days lately. But say hi to the cat over there. She's been sleeping this whole time. I still had to get this video up at the regular time because I just said at the beginning of the video that I was going to be uploading these at the same time every day. Anyways, I gotta go edit and get it all done, so good night or good morning or whatever.